what we're gonna start with is your palette knife. So take out your palette knife. There are 3 other types. There's one that looks like a butter knife, a spatula, and there's 2 scoopy kind. These are my favorite, but there's been other students that these are their favorites. So
I have this one.
Whichever one, yeah. And if you are using it and you're like, I don't like this thing, clean it off and trade it out, okay? So for now, I'm just gonna use one of these. So we're gonna start with yellow. So go ahead and scoop out some yellow. Get a big healthy scoop. And we are gonna put it right along here. And we're just gonna draw a line about halfway down our cardboard. And I know everybody's cardboard is different sizes, so just make it work so your cardboard can fit.
I do it this way or this way?
Doesn't matter. Do you. As long as you do the different techniques. Now, when you do this, leave a little bit of a puddle of yellow on one at the top. A puddle of yellow there. We're gonna do some color mixing. It'll be fun. As you are moving the acrylic around, just pay attention. Each paint has a little bit different thickness to it. And when we go to clean off our palette knife, here's where your red rag comes in handy. You just pick up one of your folds, put the knife in there, and wipe it off.
Supposed to be folded?
Yeah, sorry. Okay, go ahead and take your rag. You can fold it however you want. Personally, I just fold it once, twice, 2 or 3 times. So that you have different little fold areas to clean off your brushes or to clean off your palette knife. So there were tricks with watercolor about setting ourselves up for success. There's also tricks with acrylic. One of them is having your rag, again, if you're right-handed, put it on your right side. If you're left-handed, put it on your left side. I typically put my paints in front of me, though I understand you're sharing, so you might have some paints off to the side. That's okay. All right, let's grab some blue now that our palette knife is nice and clean. Start over on this side and move towards the yellow, because as we move towards it, we're gonna mix it. So drag it over. I'm gonna thin this out a little bit. And then when you get over to the yellow, go ahead and mix those 2. And you should get a nice green. Your green is probably gonna be more on the blue side, so if you go back to when we did the color wheel with watercolors, and now we have blue, green, and stuff, this might be more of a blue-green tone. And you can smooth it out. There's some other colors that show through. Again, we're just getting acquainted with acrylics. Some people have probably already used them before. Some people, this might be your first time. So go ahead and leave that. Clean off your palette knife after you've mixed your green together. Grab a new fold and just give it a little wipe. Wipe the edges. Palette knives are great because you can paint super fast. And they also clean off a lot easier than a brush. So you should have 2 sets of colors mixing into a green. If they didn't mix, you could go back, clean off your palette knife, scoop some yellow in there and get it to mix. Because you might have had too much blue on your palette knife. So if you're noticing that one is too blue or too yellow, add a little bit more of either pigment. You guys kind of know how to see color. So just because this is new as far as the media, seeing color is not new for you guys. That was a sneeze. Wow.
It's the same thing if you think about it.
Is this weird? Did I do it too long?
No, that's totally fine. It's all good. They're all gonna look different. The whole point is just getting the techniques down. So seeing how colors mix, feeling how it drags out. All right, next thing we're gonna do is do some stippling dots, kind of like when we did the leaves. So take some brown. Oh no! Did you get paint on your sleeve? So we have this thing called stain remover. It's in the sink. I would spray some on it. And then just dab it. And when you go home, rinse it off. It'll come out. You'll be all right. Okay, so with your palette knife, just do little dots.
The brown one?
Yeah, use your brown. We're just making little dots.
Like right next to the yellow?
Kind of by the green and the yellow and the blue. Just in that corner.
Which brown do we use?
Whichever one you want. If you have a choice, pick whichever one you want. Some have multiple browns, some don't. Your colors are limited right now, I'm aware, but you can also mix all your colors with yellow, blue, and red. So All your primaries exist. Just make some dots. Make a couple extra dots because we're going to do something fun with the extras. And when you think you have enough, you can scrape your palette knife off on the edge of your ice cube tray. This is the nice thing about the ice cube trays. And so then when you go to wipe your brush off, you're not cleaning as much pigment off. Sorry, your palette knife. So just wipe it on the side there, and then you have less to clean off. And it also conserves paint. Yay. Yeah. Hey, you guys are going to be hopefully around longer than me. So, the ice cube trays, the sections that are blank are for mixing paints. We'll do some mixing in those next time. Today is so short, so we're not going to mix paints in there today. No. Sorry. College application week priorities. Okay, so your dots, what you're going to do to them is half of them, you don't have to do it to all of them, but just half of them, I want you guys to take your palette knife, go to 45, and try to drag it.
45 what?
Angle with your knife, and just drag it and see what happens when you drag the paint. It's kind of fun. Gives it some nice texture. Just gonna wipe off my palette knife again. We could have added another color to it and then drug it and had like multiple colors going on. The neat thing about acrylics is you guys get to use texture now. You don't have to apply texture with salt or other things. You could actually make texture with the paint itself. All right, so let's do some palette knife cuts. So go ahead and get your palette knife in your paint, and we're just gonna tap it on our cardboard.
Brown?
Yeah, same color again. Brown is underrated. It's a really nice warm tone. A lot of people think it looks like poop, but you know, don't knock brown. Don't flip. You okay? So just kind of cut it. You can even like slice it and see what happens. You can get some cool texture out of it that way. And especially with the cardboard, it makes another texture. So it's just kind of fun. This would be great for giving texture to mountains, trees, if you wanted to do a portrait of somebody. Yeah, do some lines, drag it out, even crisscross some of your lines. Tap some lines on there, slice some lines on there. Oftentimes we're really used to straight up drawing or making marks with a brush, but I want you to realize there's different types of marks you can make. And some people really end up loving knife painting, and there's whole paintings that are done with just a palette knife that look pretty sweet.
Would this come off your skin?
Yeah. It'll come off your skin. Clothes, you're going to want to use some stain remover. All right. Let's do a fun one. It's called double dipping your brush. So it'll create, one side will be one color, one side will be the other color. So take your larger of the two brushes, whichever one that is for you. This one's, okay. We'll just glue that on later if your brush does that. These brushes are awesome. Just dip half of your brush in one side. We're not going down to the metal. The reason why is if you get it in the metal, oh, it is a pain to clean out. So try to keep your paint at the top. We're only going on one side of the brush, so now we're going to put red on this other side. Dip it in the corner just in case you accidentally get a little white in there. I'll try to scoop that. And if you get a lot of white in there, ooh, I got a bristle coming off. That's fun. Okay, if you get a lot of white in there, you can just kind of scoop it out and scrape it off to the side. It's all good. We'll keep our paints clean for the next person. So now that you have this double dip brush, it's kind of like a candy cane. Make a mark with it. And then see what happens when you like write an S or make some zigzags. This is a great way to make flowers. It's just fun too to mix colors. But a lot of people think they can only dip their brush in one color, which is kind of weird. So realize that you have options with things. If you had an even bigger brush, especially a flat brush, you could dip it in like 3 different colors. That'd be fun. Okay, let's clean off that brush. As you clean it off, the more you swish these brushes, the cleaner they'll get. So obviously our paint is a little bit thicker than watercolor now. They need some extra swishing. You can mash your brush on the side of your watercolor container too to squeeze stuff out. Don't press it against the bottom because then it'll like make it have a bad hair day. You can tell if your brush is clean by wiping it on your paper towel or by just wiping it on your skin. Okay, now we're gonna go back to our knife for a second, and we're gonna do some subtractive painting. Most of the time when we paint, we add stuff, but with acrylic, you can also do subtractive painting. So let's carve into our green section. Hopefully it's not too dry yet. And I'm just gonna wipe this excess green on my paper towel.
What do we carve into it?
Whatever you want. I'm just gonna do some lines. If you would like to put your name, or a little heart, you know, go for it. But I just want you to realize that you can subtract the paint, and then you can see the colors that were the base colors. So underneath the blue, you can see the base of blue. Underneath the green, you can see the base of yellow. So that's kind of a neat technique to be able to show an undertone color, but just scrape it away simply. After you do that, we're going to take our palette knife again and do 2 stripes. One stripe is going to be blue over here, and then we'll clean off our knife. The other stripes can be yellow. And the point of doing this, bless you, is that we have not been able to cover up colors. Some of you guys have been a little frustrated with that with watercolor, but now your dreams or prayers or whatever you want to say have been answered. You can now cover up the other color with another color, even if it's lighter or darker. This one may need 2 coats, but now you can see that this is just yellow and that's just blue. So if you were to make a mistake with acrylic, you can now cover up your mistakes a little bit easier. You don't have to dab it or try to get super creative and turn it into something else, even though you still could do that. All right, next technique we're going to do is taking your palette knife again. I'm going to use the white, and if you want to use a different color, feel free to. And just smush your palette knife on there, and you should see this weird little smushy texture. Kind of looks like the fingerprint of the brush / palette knife and the paint. So just smush it around. This would be a great way to add snow, which I know your guys' last contest we just did, this would have been perfect on your trees. And you can even scrape this snow, and that would be a fun thing to do on a mountain or a hillside. But there's this great texture going on down here, just with the paint. And you can kind of hear the stickiness. The more stickiness, the more texture. Okay, last thing we're going to do is we're going to make a triangle and mix our colors. And then we're going to do a quick little free paint of some trees and some happy little clouds and some grass. So clean off your palette knife. We're going to go back to our brush. We're going to go back to our big brush. You guys are doing a great job following along. We're going way quicker than we ever did with watercolor.
The big brush?
Yeah, the big one.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we are going to start with yellow. Again, remembering just to get it on the first half of our brush, don't get up in the middle. And we're just going to make a line with the yellow. Grab a little extra, because yellow, as you guys know, when you mix with yellow, you need a little extra yellow to get those colors. What? Oh. Okay. Well, maybe just slow down yourself. I don't know. I'm going to clean off my brush a little bit, and then I'm going to grab some red. Again, only dipping it halfway on there to make our lives easier when we have to clean. Always make your life easier, not harder. Now, when you do this line, we're going to start at the bottom of it, go up to the top of our triangle, and then we're going to mix the yellow and the red. It's probably going to turn out more of a reddish yellow because there's already red on our brush. It's pretty much red. So I'm going to clean my brush off. Wipe my brush off real well. And now I'm going to try to get some more yellow and see if I can actually mix an orange. There we go. That's like a coral orange. That's all right. I'm going to move my paint so I can pop this up for you guys. Okay, last color we're going to add right here is obviously going to be blue. And then we'll mix a purple on one side and a green on the other. So clean your brush off. It is tricky to clean your brush off. It takes a lot more work than watercolor. Okay, finally got clean. Grab some blue. With the blue, start in the middle. Go out to the yellow, but don't touch it. Go out to the red, and then go ahead and mix that with the red. You should get a nice purple. I'm gonna migrate into my white and just see what happens, just for fun. If you guys wanna do that too, you can do that. Right now, all the mixing we're doing is mixing directly on the palette. So similar to what the Impressionist did, next class we'll do some mixing colors inside the trays. But oftentimes you can just mix straight on your palette. Clean your brush off after you make the purple, and then go into the yellow with the blue and make a nice green again. This one's a bit lighter than that one. Thankfully I had more yellow over here. And there you go, there's some techniques. So, just as a recap real quick, as I clean my brush and you guys are getting caught up, we painted a yellow line and we painted a blue line. We overlapped the two and mixed it into green. Then we put blue on top of the yellow to see what happened when blue went second, and yellow on top of the blue to also see what happened when yellow went second. That shows us that we can overlap colors a lot easier with acrylic paints than we could with watercolor. Then we scraped off that painting right there, which was a subtractive process, showing you that you can scrape your paint off and create some cool textures. We did the little stippling dots and dragged them. Again, another neat texture. We took the palette knife and tapped it on there to make another neat texture. We double loaded a brush here. You could triple load one if you wanted to. We dabbed our palette knife here to make little smushy things. And then we made a mixing triangle with yellow, red, and blue. And that's it. Cool. So, are we all caught up now?
Yes.
Okay, let's grab our next cardboard. Dun, dun, dun. You can orient your cardboard however you want. Maybe your cardboard has a fun wrinkle in it like mine. I'm just gonna embrace that. We're gonna put that down there. We're gonna do something similar to this, but we'll do some fall trees instead. And we get out at 9:40. Hey, oh, you guys are doing awesome. Yay. I was so worried. I was like, oh, we're not gonna have time. We're gonna have to rush and clean up. It's gonna be sad. Okay, so take your big brush. Hopefully it's clean. Mine's a little dirty. I'm gonna clean it out. If you need to refold your rag, do so. Mine's getting pretty delightful. Okay, let's start with white. So kind of scoop white out of there. Again, we're not getting it on the middle part because we're trying to make our life easier. Go almost a third of the way down your paper. Oh, you can see I didn't do the best job cleaning my brush. And you're gonna drag some white. Hello, Miss Nora. Drag some white up to the top.
Big one or the little one?
Big one. So you can get more paint on there. Oh, doesn't matter, do you? It can be long or short, really doesn't matter. And we're dragging some white up to the top. So that, and you guys are gonna notice, you get these little clumpies in there, so like you gotta smooth out acrylics. And the thing you're gonna find out in a second is the second that acrylics get dry, whoo, makes it hard to mix them. So you gotta work a little bit faster than you did with watercolor maybe. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of extra white. I'm just gonna preload it down there because we're gonna need something to mix with. Ooh, you can tell I didn't do the best job cleaning my brush. Now we're gonna grab some blue. Before you grab the blue, clean your brush off just a little bit. Grab some blue and we're gonna go from the top down. And we're gonna make a nice faded sky going from dark blue. I need a little extra blue. You might need some extra paint. Don't hesitate to grab extra paint. This is the not so good paint, so use as much of it as you want. So bring this down to the white. I'm pulling it down with vertical strokes, and then we're gonna go from the top coming down with horizontal strokes. And as you start coming down on the white, just keep going down. Don't go back up, or else your fade is not gonna look right. If you preloaded some white down at the bottom, it's giving you some more white to mix with, which is nice. And then take it down almost to the bottom, but leave a little space so you can hold on to your cardboard. Now I'm gonna clean my brush off. If there's a section where it's not blended, I'm just gonna go back with a clean brush and kind of blend it in carefully. but I'm being conscious of what color's on my brush so that I'm not mixing up my fade. So pay attention to how much paint you have on your brush. If you need to grab some more blue, go for it and grab it so you have color to mix. If your white dried out, throw some more white on there. You could grab a palette knife and throw some white on there with it. Respond to your painting. Painting is like having a conversation with your painting. Somebody yesterday said it was like being on a date by themselves with their painting. I thought that was kind of cute. Oh, we won't have you guys for... Should have like Valentine's Day paint day or something. With your painting.
No painting?
Yeah. Just have a conversation with your painting. Just hang out.
It's not responsive.
Well, and sometimes you can win money for your... Oh, I can't name the names yet, but 2 people won for the holiday art contest from Ben Lowman.
I named the test?
I can't name names yet. I just can't... I'll be able to announce it on Thursday.
Okay, just don't say names. Just give me hints.
No, we're not playing that game.
What game?
All right, now when you're done with your sky, I'll give you guys a little bit longer.
That is not okay.
And if you mess up on this, that's fine. This is just like a play painting. This is not like a big assignment. So no freak outs about, oh, I messed up. It's okay. That's how we learn. If you need to add some more paint to blend it, like I got a weird line there. Oh well. I did a much better job yesterday. Or maybe just dry it out. We are going to add some clouds to this, so if you have an area that you need to cover up, yeah, clouds are going to be a good cover up. Yeah, we're going to add some clouds. No, we're using this. Sorry. Because our painting is still wet. Big one. We're staying with the big one again. I know. Hope you like your big brush. Okay, so we're grabbing white with a clean brush. Your sky is still wet. Warning. So I'm grabbing a lot of paint.
A lot?
Yeah, like if this were ice cream, but it's not. And if you're lactose intolerant, make something else up, like cookie dough. Oh, well, some cookie dough doesn't, like the raw stuff that you buy at that one store, doesn't have milk in it. Because it would go bad.
I don't think I've ever met one lactose.
Alright, fair enough. Okay, so go ahead and dab that on there.
Wait, what color?
White. We're making some clouds. The more paint you have, the less likely it's going to mix in with the blue. If it starts mixing a little, that's okay, because guess what? So, no stress. We don't need a perfectly white, puffy cloud. Oh my goodness. So yeah, just make different puffy, fun clouds. As many as you want. Yesterday, I made 5. I don't like this line, so I'm kind of covering it up right now. So if you have something in your sky where you're like, oh, I messed up there, go ahead and cover it up. Nobody will know about it. And enjoy the fact that you can cover it up with acrylic.
Which one do you like better, watercolor or this?
Based on what I painted myself, it's watercolor. I'm trying to love acrylic so that like I don't deter you guys from it. Because I don't want my bias to like affect you guys in a negative way. So, but yeah, if I had to pick what I wanted to paint with, it would be watercolor. But in high school, I really liked acrylic. So it just depends. It's kind of like your food preferences. They change as you change. That's a good thing. Sometimes your media preferences change as you change. And just enjoy making clouds. Cool. What's going on back there? She dropped her brush on you? Was it clean or dirty? Oh, that's good. If you have excess paint on your brush, you can wipe it on the edge of your ice cube tray. If you're still painting your clouds, that's all right. Oh, now it's cold? It was like blazing hot in here at the start of class. We've been sitting for too long. All right, we got to add some trees and some grass. So, same way we did the clouds. Now we're just doing trees. Let's do a fall set of trees. This was spring.
What you mean? We're doing more things?
More things. We don't stop. It is 9:26. Sorry for this. Okay, so now we're gonna grab some yellow, and you're just gonna paint a line of yellow kind of underneath your clouds. Go back and get more paint. It's okay if your yellow and blue mix and make green. Yeah, we're still on our big brush. Now we're gonna turn it into like a row of trees. We okay back there? I'm worried.
Her brush fell off in the water.
Oh, yeah, mine fell, yeah. Grab a new one and then we can glue that one back on. We got super glue. Yeah, I'm just dabbing it. Not like really like hard like that. Just gentle little tap, tap, tap. Nobody's seen Happy Gilmore. Disappointed. Just little taps. Not like full on dab. Just little taps. And make them different sizes and shapes so that your trees don't look all the exact same. That would be boring if everything was the exact same. Be like...
Would it though?
Yeah, it would be a little freaky. Now after you've done yellow, if it's turning green, that's okay. So if yours is turning green, just embrace your spring trees. If yours is not, no you didn't. No, there's no, you didn't mess up, you're okay. You would mess up if you didn't come to class. Grab a little bit of red if you want to do fall trees. If you want to keep your trees spring colored, add a little bit of blue. I'm going to go for fall, so I'm just going to add a little bit of red. You could add a little bit of brown, which is kind of how things are looking now. I'm going to leave the yellow at the top because that is going to make it look like the sun is kind of kissing the tops of the trees. Yeah, also just dabbing, kind of going back and forth, mixing the colors. But just dabbing away or tapping. Yeah. And I went in with red. If you would like to go in with blue and make green, you're welcome to do that. So whichever look you want to go for, fall or spring, or if you're just feeling kind of bummed about how long fall is and you really want winter to be here, you can make your trees be... Screw the seasons.
Exactly.
We don't need water in our mountains. No, no. We need some water. Some, yeah, or else we're gonna die. Okay, so a little bit of brown, and there we go. You don't have to add brown if you don't want to. I just chose to. I'm gonna clean my brush off, and now we're gonna add some trunks and some grass. And then we're gonna be done. Again, reminder, you're gonna hold on to your brushes. That'll be your exit pass. So you gotta prove that you can clean a brush today so that we can upgrade to new brushes next week when we start our project. Okay, so clean off that big old brush and let's go to our smaller brush. Yay! Finally! We're gonna make some tree trunks. So, pick which brown you like, or if you only have one, go with that. And give yourself some little tree trunks. Now, the trick with a tree trunk is make it skinnier at the top and a little bit wider at the bottom. And you can make as many tree trunks as you want. You figure out what the spacing is between your trees. Oh, that's almost a triangle. And again, don't freak out if it doesn't look exactly perfect right now. You're working with poor materials. You're working with terrible brushes and kind of okay paints. So just get a feel for it today. And then when we upgrade to better stuff, you're gonna be like, oh, this is awesome. So half the time, the frustration with any art form is just having good materials. They don't have to be expensive, they just have to be good. Okay, so I wipe my brush off Now I'm gonna clean it off and we're gonna put some grass. Last time I had way more space for grass than I do today. So, we're just gonna take our palette knife. We're gonna put some yellow down there.
What happens if we mess up and have no space for
Don't mess up.
literally no.
You're one to talk. So anyway, if you don't have space for grass, that's okay. No worries. It's okay. If you do have space for grass, just throw some yellow on there and bring it up to the base of your trees. I'm using my palette knife because it's a nice way to spread the yellow around. It's kind of like spreading butter or jam on toast. And I like that everybody's paintings are a little bit different. I don't like when it's like all exactly the same. Again, variety makes life more interesting.
Okay, so grass. How do I do that?
So I'm doing it right now. We're Okay, pay attention. Paint some yellow on there with your palette knife. And then we're gonna grab just a little bit of blue, not a lot, because we gotta mix blue and yellow. But as you know, it takes a lot more yellow than blue to make green. So dab a little bit of blue on there, and now I'm gonna mix it. Ooh, I kind of like the look of the corrugation of the cardboard because the cardboard's pointing up. That's kind of neat. You could leave it just like this and call it good, but I'm not going to. We're gonna spread this around a little bit more, and I'm gonna scrape some grass in there. So I think that'll look more fun. So taking your palette knife, I'm just gonna scrape grass going up. And that's kind of fun because then it overlaps the blue. Typically, as you guys already know, but just a reminder, when you paint landscapes, or just when you paint generally, you usually want to do your background. So in this case, it was the sky first. And then the stuff in the foreground, the grass, is what goes last. So that you get a nice overlap with your colors.
You ran out of blue.
Borrow somebody else's. I don't know if I'd let them. They're kind of being rude. Way to be the bigger person.
Thank you.
It did not go the way it was supposed to. All right, so after you've got that all done, clean off your palette knife. We're gonna clean up. So when we clean up today, paintings as usual are gonna go on the drying rack. So your guys' is 2A. Your paints, if you have tin foil, you are going to carefully wrap your paints up. Press the tin foil on there so they don't dry out. Your brushes, when you go to the back sink, you're gonna spritz with a little bit of the stain remover and rinse it out. Then you're gonna hold on to your brushes because we are going to use these as an exit pass. The paints you can leave on a pile on those trays. The orange paper, you guys are lucky because your second period, you get to leave the orange paper on the tables. Yay! Your rags go back in the bucket, your water buckets get dumped out, and you might as well hold on to your palette knife too, just for funsies. This is your exit pass, those 3 things. If you don't have those 3 things, you don't leave class.